Hey y'all, welcome to The Sharpest Teeth. My name is Wilder, and we are in my bed today. Welcome to my bed. I still have COVID, and I have a hard time even just sitting in my desk chair. I get tired, so this is why we're here. And I also am holding myself accountable because I missed last week and then did not have the energy to do a video. But if I don't do one, I know that the more I think about it, the more I will guilt trip myself over not doing it, and then I will continue to not do it, which I know is doesn't make any sense, but that's how my brain works. I forgot what I was gonna say. So we're still dealing with a little bit of brain fog, and not as bad as yesterday, and hopefully I will have it all cleared up by tomorrow. But that's not why we're here. We're here to do a reading. So I am reading with the Modern Witch Tarot deck. Some of you might know it from this image. Was the inspiration for the deck. I love it and I hate it. It's Lisa something? Lisa Sturl. And yeah, I have my candle going. I went to New Orleans for a conference last week, and I was really excited to do a tarot reading and record one in New Orleans, but the time that I had there was actually way more transformative and life changing and soul rending than I thought it would be. So I just didn't do that. I just didn't get around to it. It was a very personal experience for me, and I was having a hard time showing up for myself, let alone composing myself enough to show up for others. And then I got COVID. Unsurprising. But we're back home, and we've been in bed for 8 days. And we are reading tarot. We're pulling cards. I did get a reading in New Orleans by someone, and I had a feeling that it wasn't going to be great. It wasn't the best reading I've gotten. Not the message itself, but more so the interpretation. So I don't know. I'm thinking about a lot of different things currently. One of the themes that kept coming up was, God, I wish I wrote it down because my brain is not working. One of the themes that keeps coming up is just doing things. It's like procrastination is something that is getting in a lot of our collective way, and there's a lot of just do it. Like, you can't prepare for something. There's only so much that you can do to prepare for something. A lot of the time, to achieve a goal, you just have to go for it. Like, there's no way that we're going to think ourselves into being ready to do something that we've never done before. A huge part of getting things done and achieving new things and changing our lives is just fucking doing the thing. It's like I said, with my problem of overthinking and guilt tripping myself. It's been a constant reminder, and my New Year's resolution was to think less and do more. And I think that's going to be really beneficial for me. And also, that isn't to say, like, don't think about things, don't just, like, jump into everything. For me, it's more about, like, doing things that I want to do, or even getting up out of bed and doing basic self-care things. Like, if I wake up and I start thinking about getting out of bed, I'm more likely to stay in bed. If I get up and I start thinking about the things that I am supposed to be doing today, I am more likely to just stay in bed. But if I get up out of bed and I just start my day without thinking so much, that's how I get shit done. There's a lot of this actually reflected in the cards that I've drawn already. And, I don't know, it's the year of strength. I think it's definitely, these ones just flew out. Something to consider, when thinking about this. And I don't know, I think, like, for me, something that I learn every time I do something and stop thinking about it so much is that I am so much more capable and stronger and more talented and, like, whatever. Like, my ability is way beyond what I think it is. So I think that is something to say about, like, how we think about ourselves and what we're actually capable of doing. The first card that came up is the Moon. And the Magician. And one of the readings that I did recently for this year, I did it last month for, like, the upcoming year, is it had the Magician in it as it had the Magician reversed, actually, as how we are going to, like, get things done, how we're going to achieve things. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, that's, like, it's manipulative, you know, it's giving manipulation. It's giving, like, pulling the wool over your eyes and, like, casting illusions, right? And I thought that was interesting to see, like, how that can actually be used to our benefit. And I'm thinking about it, like, integrating the shadow, especially with the Moon here, like, integrating the shadow and giving love to the parts of ourselves that we're not loving toward, that don't hurt anybody, right? Because there are ways to manipulate for the greater good, right? There are ways to manipulate for personal gain and for the greater good and community gain that don't hurt other people, that are not harmful. And I think that's something that should be considered, because I often think of, like, manipulation as inherently bad, and something also that I'm working on is, like, reframing the way that I think about, like, good and bad. The Moon is sometimes about, like, breaking out of abusive cycles. I also think of it as, like, depression. With this combo, the Moon and the Magician, I'm thinking about, like, your ability to break through your depression through the tools that you have, and, like, the tools that are available to you are actually much more abundant than you realize, and maybe you're a little bit more creative than you realize, and you have more resources even than you realize. Like, maybe the depression is getting in the way of using your resources. It's giving therapy, honestly, somehow. Like transformation, right? Like taking one thing and creating something new from that thing. But it still has the same basic elements. And it's not exactly alchemy or art. It feels more practical than that. It's like the practical application of your knowledge. We have the Four of Wands reversed. And there is something of like a separation here, or I'm trying to pinpoint this. It's like what used to be magic in the coming together is no longer magicking the way that it did before. And that I think has to do with like our patterns, our cycles, our own journey, like rapid cycling through these patterns that we go on. And honestly, I'm almost getting like this is less of a community oriented thing and this is more of like a personal journey. This is a spiritual journey that we kind of have to go on ourselves. I don't know, maybe go to the beach even. I was really missing the desert the other day. I say that because they're motorcycling through the desert. I was really missing the desert the other day, and like the desert is something that I never thought that I would enjoy. I always thought that I would hate the desert because I hate heat. But I love the desert, actually. Like, it's a gorgeous place. And it's so full of life. And it really connected me to, like, life and death. So I don't know why that's coming up, but, like, the ocean, however, like, I feel like there's something that we need to let go of. There's something that we can give to the ocean, you know. I feel like it might even be this identity of self in relation to others, like needing somebody else to exist to inform how you relate to yourself. It's almost like we're moving away from that, like we're finding out who we are on our own without thinking about like tying it all up in how we exist in our community and like how we relate to other people and like who we want to be like, you know. Like it's less about, oh, I see this group of people, I see these people, and like I want that, I want to be like that, I want to belong in this, and more like I see this group of people and I see these individuals and like they're being authentic, and like I need to find my own authenticity and a belonging in that way. It's not like, I don't know, it's like arriving and just knowing that you belong rather than trying to force this union and force this coming together. Does that make sense? I have, again, the fog brain. So there is that. With this Knight of Cups, it's really also like you've done some of the inner work. Like we've done the thinking already. We've done that kind of like introspection part of it that we've needed to do. And now it's time to go. It's time to do something about it. It's time to like actually like pack up your bags and put that knowledge into practice and do something about it. Did I say do something about it already? Do something about it, right? Like, what did you discover? And what are you gonna do about it? And I'm also getting like, a lot of us are reconnecting to spirituality in a lot of different ways. And okay, I guess I'm going to talk about this even though I don't want to talk about it. Some of us are so desperate for answers that we will follow people who seem confident, or who claim to have answers. I get into this pitfall with tarot reading sometimes, actually, where I'm like, I feel like I don't have the confidence and I need to look at the cards to find out like what to do, and then I'm manipulating what I'm reading to suit my own needs and like desires, and even though I know it's not exactly whatever, and that never works out for me. And what I do is, when I realize I'm doing that, is I take a step back, and because I lose myself in the cards, and what we don't want to do is like lose ourselves in other people and let other people become like our answers, right? Like, I'm not getting that that's where we're going to find our truthful answers. I'm also getting that there are people who will take advantage of you and your vulnerability, and that's why it's really important to know who the fuck you are and where you're going. This is almost like divorce. This is almost like, oh, I saw that union and it was false, and now we're out of here. Like, I'm gonna take what I got and I'm gonna double it. Like, it wasn't giving everything that you needed. You needed more. And it's time for you to go get more. And like, other people are not going to have the answers for you. That's not to say that you won't find help along the way through other people. It's just kind of about your journey. It's about your experience, and you can get insight and help from other people, but like, you need and get to take ownership of your own experience, and nobody else gets to tell you what that means or what you need to be doing. And if you find yourself asking for advice from somebody and it doesn't resonate with you and it feels off, ask yourself if it's fear, or ask yourself, like, if it is fear, then I would move forward with it and see, like, okay, like, why am I afraid of this? Am I afraid that this will lead me to something deeper? Or is it like, no, that's just not right. Like, that's just not right. And there is a way to distinguish the two. And the more that you practice that, the easier it becomes to distinguish the two. And for me, that's been a really helpful practice, to be like, okay, well, like, is it fear? And if it is fear, then I search further in that. And if it's not fear, then I go like, okay, well, like, what is it? Is it, do I just not like this? Do I just not want to do this? Do I think it's not going to work for me? Or, like, is it just not for me? And I think, honestly, if it's not fear, usually it's intuition. And again, with the, like, you can't think too much into it, right? Like, we're learning how to put our intuition into practice, put our spirituality into practice, put what we've learned into practice. Like, again, like, if it isn't fear, a lot of the time for me it's intuition, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do that, you know? But a lot of the times it is just fear. And a lot of the times it's low stakes stuff, you know, like I do think the more you practice with low stakes stuff, the easier it is, right? Like trying a new dish at a restaurant, you know, somebody recommends something to you and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to try that. And then you're like, wait, am I afraid? Is this just fear of trying something new? Or do I know that I'm not going to like that right now, or that it's not going to sit well with my body right now, right? And if it's just fear and it won't disrupt your physical body or your diet, maybe try it, right? We're not going to get anywhere if we don't go anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere by sitting and thinking about the risks. You know, the moon is honestly, again, I'm getting like this shadow work and like going into your own journey. I also think that there's going to be a lot of things that are really a lot harder than they've been. And you will need help, but I think that the help that you will get is more going to be from a spiritual team, people who are practicing spirituality, a sangha, then these forced relationships that are not built from truths, that are not celebratory, that don't feel like coming home. I got the 7 of Cups when I was talking about like where you're gonna find help and like opportunities, and I think that's really real. I think like when we come across times in our lives when there are big changes and big transformations and like opportunities for growth and shadow work, especially like looking at the things that we don't necessarily like about ourselves, looking at the things that we don't tend to look at, like I got this image of like looking underneath the rocks, and sometimes you find a really cool salamander. So who knows? You know, maybe this is the year of turning over rocks and finding cool salamanders. Embracing the bugs, you know, if you're scared of bugs, maybe go look at some bugs, metaphorically or literally. Now I kind of want to go look at bugs. Maybe it's just that like nature has been on my mind. Maybe I will take some time to go out if I'm not too tired. Mask up and go out, especially since my viral load has lessened significantly. So the 7 of Cups is about options. It's about choices. The reason that I was bringing up like, oh, the 7 of Cups makes sense when we have all of this shadow work to do and all of this transformation to do is because it's so easy to like want to choose chaos or personal gain or power or like traditional spirituality or put your trust into something that isn't trustworthy. It's so easy to like make these choices. And there are so many more choices like that aren't liberation, right? There are so many choices that are more about personal gratification or continuing the patterns, the spirals, or comfort than there are about like liberation or beauty, freedom, truth, and love, right? It's so easy for us as people to like, instead of choosing to do this work and like get our hands dirty and look at the bugs that we are scared of, and learn about the bugs and like embrace the fact that like they are a part of nature and they are a part of the ecosystem, like a very necessary and important part of the ecosystem, then like it's so much easier to like run away from the bugs or like get scared and like smash the bugs or like or like have somebody else look at underneath the rock and tell you what's under there and then just believe them when they could easily be lying to you. Does this make sense? Like, it is not in our survival mode. It is not in our animal instincts to embrace change. But change is going to happen no matter what. And it is actually like a natural part of things, even though it's scary. I forgot what I was saying. Here's something that we don't want to look at. Not that doesn't want to be looked at, but it was like, hey, maybe here's something that it's strength. Oh, guess what? You actually are strong enough, and you don't need to hide. You don't need to sit in thought and rumination. You don't need to stay static and stagnant, right? We're dynamic. We can change. We can look at our options. We can face and be honest about what we're choosing and why we're choosing it. And sometimes we go with the snake, and that's okay. Maybe that's a part of our process that we need to go with. It's just important to witness it, to make sure that you know what you're choosing and actively choose it instead of letting the choice happen for you, if that makes sense. And we have the strength to do it. We have the strength to tame our inner beast, and embrace our beauty, right? And let that beast out when it needs to be let out, because sometimes it does. Hell, sometimes it does. That's it for today. I'm really tired. I don't think I'm gonna do a double feature like I wanted to make up for last week because of being sick. I will pull one more though. Ace of Wands. And then there's Four of Swords also. Ace of Wands reversed. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in your head, man. Don't get stuck in your bed like me. Wear a mask, maybe. There are vaccinations out there. In my county, it was 90-something% of people got their first booster, or their first vaccine, but then only 20% of people got their booster, and that was mostly old folks. So do your responsibility for your community. We are in the second largest COVID surge since 2020. I know nobody likes to hear it. I don't like to talk about it, but it's true. And I'm still dealing with the repercussions. And I'm masked. So, yeah. Trust your instincts. Don't get lost in your thoughts too much. Don't be afraid to take action. Make a choice. Okay, love you. Bye.